reconvene special call board meeting held on May 22nd, 2006 to today, May 25th, 2006 at 4:30 at the administration building. We are starting at 4:40 due to lack of a quorum. Mr. Aguilar joined us, so we now have a quorum. So we will now move on to moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Everyone please stand. Mr. Munoz, lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one and indivisible.
Mr. Lehman,
Yes, sir.
I hope you're not blaming me for lack of
No,
quorum.
sir, I am
I'll tell
congratulating you.
one thing, I don't have to be here, and you should be fortunate and thankful that I went
Yes,
around the
sir.
building.
I will acknowledge that,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you, sir.
On roll call, and we have a quorum. We have Mr. Munoz, Mr. Aguilar, and Mr. Powers, and myself. And thank you very much, Mr. Aguilar,
Oh, you're quite welcome, sir.
flying in. We'll now move on to item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the reconvened special call board meeting of May 25th, 2006 with any deletions. Doctor?
There are no deletions.
Okay, why do we have a motion, second, and a vote? I guess because. Move to approve the recommending reconvene special call board meeting of May 25th, 2006. Motion. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Move on to 6, recommend approval to canvass school bond election returns, election held on May 13th, 2006. Resolution canvassing the returns and declaring the results of the school bond election returns. Is there a motion to approve? I guess we'll hear maybe the numbers first, and then we can all approve. So,
Would you want to comment on that, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Z. Board members. On Monday, 22nd of May, a meeting was held to canvass the election results of May 13th. The results were counted in totals for each proposition in favor or against. Upon completion of the canvass, questions arose regarding the precinct-by-precinct counts. As requested, the board has been provided with an explanation from the Cameron County Elections Office and 2 additional separate opinions from the Secretary of State's office. Additionally, the Cameron County Elections Office has provided the school district with counts for each voting location. I ask that the canvassing of the election votes as read on Monday, May the 22nd, 2006, and as a part of a record be finalized and acknowledged by this board.
You send it out.
The process to continue our IFA application will proceed once the issue of the bond election canvassing is concluded. I thank Dr. Zolkowski. Mr. Roger Ortiz has also been on vacation, and we have had a conversation yesterday, and we told him about this one meeting. We'd like to finalize, and we ask the board to please accept.
We'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Yes. I'd like to correct the statement that was just made. And this letter, page 005 that we have, Exhibit D, this is misleading, and I don't accept it at all. First of all, as to the statement made that we rejected the canvass was not rejected. The canvass was begun and incomplete. It was not completed. When I started the canvass, I read section 67004, which, as far as I know, and checking online, it is still the same as my book. I haven't received anything that changes it or modifies it or anything from any authority that says that, no, you don't do this. And one of the items, that it's very clear how the canvass is conducted. Yes, we talk about the totals and the issues, who won the issues, but it's very clear that the total number of votes received in each precinct. We didn't know. We didn't have access to the totals by precinct. So with that, we stopped the canvass and instructed the election administrator, BISD's election administrator, Ms. Pena, to obtain clarification for us. And we have some very nice documentation that I guess everyone has here.
Yes, sir.
It has a history of all the events back into March, I believe, and it's very well put together. I'm pleased to see the way it's been assembled, and it tells the story. We had some serious, the whole state of Texas had some serious problems in conducting this election, and the state gave in directions to go ahead and not cancel elections because they decided that it would be better to perhaps not comply with the absolute letter of the law, but that it was more important that the elections go forward as best we could, and that was their decision, and we went along with it. The state went along with it. But as I said, and Miss Henshaw at the Secretary of State's office, in her letter on page 005 said, the Board of Trustees has no real discretion to reject the canvass, which is the act of making the election results official. That is correct. But this you have to understand. We do the canvass. The canvass is not presented to us. The materials to conduct the canvass are presented to us. The materials that were presented to us were, in my opinion, and in absence of any other information or dictates from the state or passes or whatever you would like to call it, was incomplete. And I can read 67004 till I'm blue in the face, and I understand what it says. So we decided that we would, I'll say it again, we instructed our election administrator to find out where we were at and either get a letter in writing that what we were presented with will suffice, or get the information. Well, I'm glad to see that we have the bulk of the information. The election administrator did provide a list of the vote, election day vote, by not exactly precincts, because there were some combined precincts. For instance, 14 and 82 were combined. So we have about 35 precincts that stand alone. Some of them are partials, 14 and 82. You can live with that. 16 and 17, we can live with that. They're combined. There were, as I understand it, there were coding errors or coding problems in that the ballots were not coded. So we know what the election day totals were by location. We also know what the early vote was by personal appearance and by mail. That was presented to us. And based upon the election code, the early vote is considered a singular precinct. Certainly that's an accepted procedure for recounts, and that's good enough for me. So as far as the early vote counting as one precinct, I can accept that. I think the board should accept that. So based upon what we've received here, which we did not have on Monday, was it Monday? I think I feel like this satisfies as best we can the law and the dictates by the Secretary of State, who, as she admits in her letter, we have shown good faith, and we are made significant effort. And this is what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to show good faith, and that we are making significant effort to comply with the law as it is. And she admits that it was not to the T. So we're doing as best we can. Had we not done this, I guess we might have been open to criticism. But if attorney feels like we need to read the individual location numbers, or if our election administrator will certify that these numbers add up to the totals, I'll take it from there. Counselor? What do you suggest?
Mr. Munoz, Mr. Lehman?
Yes, sir.
If they were read on Monday, and my understanding is that they were, then I think Ms. Peña's certification of the numbers at this point in time would suffice. There was
Per
a
precinct. I mean,
Sorry?
I guess we're certifying the per precinct numbers tonight, technically, and then calling the entire canvass, or accepting the entire canvassing of the election. I guess that's the
Remember that
issue.
we don't have completely accurate precinct numbers.
Page 10,
But what
well,
is-
the only problem is that precincts 7 and 9 were combined.
Combined.
14 and 82 at El Jardín were combined.
Right.
So there are some that are combined.
Their election day.
I guess Mr. Ortiz is here, if we
What
have
do we
any.
do, what do we do with the early election results?
The early
They
election
don't
results-
show-
The early election results don't show the individual precincts because it was not possible, nor will it ever be possible, to abstract those because the ballots were not coded.
And what,
An
is
attempt-
that the reason, Mr. Ortiz? That the ballots were not coded, and what was the reason for having a snag?
Mr. Lehman, Board, the reason that the ballots were not coded by precinct was because the election itself was one election. It was sort of like a joint election. It's something that has not happened before here in Cameron County. The vendors, or the vendor who provided the ballots, took Cameron County as one election. Each jurisdiction was then a precinct. They could not take each jurisdiction and code a precinct, every precinct to it. So what happened in regards to the early votes, you could vote at any location that you wished, and so we could not report that by location because it would be a mixture of everything within your district. This, on election day, was based more on a precinct level because your election polling location would match up with a precinct, which is normally done throughout in every election. And so we're basically able to take that location, take that count from our tapes that were generated off of the M100s and call it a precinct. However, the reports will not call it a precinct, and any report that we can generate will not say precinct by precinct. It would be a location, a polling location.
So in the future, I think the law has changed, Article 11, that now calls for a joint election with either municipality or with the county. So will this problem occur again?
This problem, I have been told by several people at the state level that will not reoccur. There is some action that is going to be taken against the vendor, and the vendor has already promised to set up offices in the state of Texas that will include the printing of the ballots, the programming, and so forth, whereas now they do everything out of their national headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska. So everybody is taking steps to ensure that this is not going to happen again. There's other legislation that is going to be proposed. There was some that was proposed at this last special session, but there was no action on it. There will still be some proposed for the next legislative session that may give the option to all jurisdictions besides the county to use and to comply with HAVA or not to use the equipment that complies with HAVA. Now, that is something that we're going to have to see as soon as we get a draft from different legislation that is going to be submitted and proposed. But come June, I say the Texas Elections Administrators are supposed to be getting together with the Secretary of State. We are bringing to the table the problems that we had with schools, cities, and other jurisdictions, the headaches that we saw, the inconsistencies from the vendors and other areas. And so we're hoping that we all can put together some effort to have this worked out so that this will not happen again. I would like to make a statement here in regards to the efforts of the school district, if I may. The school district has appointed Berta Peña to be the elections administrator for the school district. I want to tell you all that her efforts have been tremendous. She has been very concerned. She has been on my back to get this straight, and she should be commended for what she has done for the school district. And I just wanted to thank her for doing that because it also helped me with other jurisdictions. Her comments and her criticism even helped me with working with other jurisdictions that had similar problems. So I would like to here publicly thank her, and I think that you all are very lucky to have her with you. If there's anything any other explanation you want me to give in regards to the election, I'd be glad to, and I'll stay up here.
Well, my only concern is, I guess, are you seeking or will you be seeking restitution from the vendor, or have you already worked out something?
Restitution,
Well, as far as cost, I mean, you said that you're holding him responsible.
there will be some, I know that the vendor will have to work something out in regards to, some discounts and they will be asked to, probably pay some of the expenses, for some of the, counties and jurisdictions. I don't know what those will be. I've only heard that something like that might be in the works.
So you're
Like-
still gonna charge us, right?
Yes, sir.
But we're getting a credit, maybe?
Actually, I'd like to add everything that we had to do in addition to what we got contracted with, but that's not possible. The election itself is, and the numbers are very secure. Seriously, everything that was done to keep the integrity of the election intact. So the numbers that you have before you are good numbers. There's nothing questionable about them. There may have been some procedures that were not exactly by the book, but they were all by the Secretary of State's office and with their approval. The whole step, all the steps that we took all the way through the election process was with full knowledge of the Secretary of State's office and with their full blessing. So there were various people in the Secretary of State's office that we were talking to make sure that, that we were conducting an election that was proper and that was going to be acceptable for the whole county.
So the numbers and the votes are justifiable,
Yes,
as
sir.
far as you're concerned. Any other questions? Yes, sir, Mr. Parks.
Yeah, I wanna, this was very thorough, Mrs. Peña, and personally, I wanna thank Mrs. Peña. I know this is a job nobody wants to do, but it takes somebody with a lot of knowledge and expertise to do it, and you've done a fantastic job, and without the county election office, I think, I would hate to see us do it ourselves. I don't think I would want us to do it ourselves. So I'm proud to say, to be associated with you, Ms. Ortiz, in your office. I know y'all do to your best. I know you comply with the Secretary of State and the laws, et cetera, and that's what they pay you to do, and that's what we pay our administration to do. I'm happy with the results. We got the elections passed. I don't care if it's 1,000 votes or 1 vote, we won. All the votes were counted. And I'm just happy to have both of you guys working on it, because it could have been, we looked at a molehill and we made it into a mountain for no reason. And so I'm proud of what y'all did for this school district and your staff, especially your staff, and what y'all did for this school district and how y'all helped us. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sure. Well, I also want to thank Mr. Ortiz. Roger, I think that the most important thing is, yes, we acknowledge there are some things that we need to improve, but I just want to acknowledge that your effort to make it right, to me, it means a lot, and your efforts, and not only yours, but also the office. So we thank you for that. I mean, sometimes things happen, and we always see what's perfect all the time, but sometimes perfection is not there. Whatever variables, whatever reasons we might have, the system did not work. However, your efforts, your attitude about say we're going to fix it, it wouldn't happen again. That to me, it's important, and I thank you for that kind of response.
Thank you, sir.
Additional comments?
Yes, I have one. Certainly what we've heard tonight, we cannot, and I have to take issue with my fellow board members. Certainly we did not make a mountain out of a molehill. We are doing our due diligence as elected representatives of the public, and Roger will attest that certainly this was not a molehill. This was a terrible event that occurred at no, it wasn't your doing, it wasn't Roger's doing. This is something that happened, and the state certainly recognizes that this is a very, very serious event that occurred. And being familiar with the election code as I am and as Roger is, we recognize that there are a lot of safeguards here that are in the code that allow transparency and make sure that ballot registers and allocating ballot numbers to certain precincts and all of those sort of things allow you to ascertain and to double check that that there are no inconsistencies with the voting process. So we had a terrible thing happen, and fortunately it worked out. But again, we have to do our due diligence, and we did our due diligence, and if we don't ask questions, if we don't instruct our employees to do their assigned tasks, then these things get swept under the table, and this is not something you want swept under the table. So I think that we accept your kudos for helping you out. I think had we not instructed our election administrator to do certain things, perhaps some of the information that you received from the state might have been a little slow in coming. Eventually you have gotten it, but fortunately I think it worked out for all of the political subdivisions that conducted this election.
So, yes, ma'am, Mrs.
Ms. Peña.
Peña would like to make a comment.
Dr. Z, board members, I'd like to clarify the word reject comes from the Secretary of State that was mentioned by Mr. Munoz,
Yes.
not from my emails. And so I'd like to say that this person who works at the Secretary of State is the one that used that word reject. What I guess I'd like to make very clear tonight is that it is of the utmost importance that we understand that the votes have been canvassed on Monday, May the 22nd. Because of the timeline that is required, we canvassed the votes. That's why we're reconvening today, because I have provided you with the information that you need. It is of the utmost importance that we proceed with our application to IFA, and therefore I have no objections, and as I'm a soldier, and if you ask me, I will read those numbers from each voting location, but they are not precinct by precinct, and I don't feel comfortable with that. And I'd like to just ask Roger, if I may, Dr. Z, do you feel comfortable that we read that, because the law says, or the code says, precinct by precinct, and you're saying tonight, and from what I understand, they're voting locations, not precincts, and I feel uncomfortable reading that out tonight. I will read it, if so be it. We have to do our jobs, but I would like to stand on the premise that we have already canvassed those votes on Monday, and all we're doing tonight is finalizing and acknowledging them.
I don't, if I may, I don't believe that you need to read those totals out, or I need to read those totals out. I believe the canvassing is strictly done by the board, and so it is up to the board to review them, and if there is anything else they need to do with them,
Mr. President?
it's up to them.
Yes, sir, Mr. Munoz.
I believe Attorney Saldana already touched on that, did he not?
And I agree with Ms. Peña that it's imperative that the canvassing have taken place during the relevant time period, during the relevant window that's provided by the code.
Good,
And
good.
and I think if we just finalize it today, I think that we'll be fine.
And as I said earlier, if council is satisfied, and our accountants will certify that these numbers do add up to the page 10, which is basically a precinct return, but technically not. It's a location return. If those numbers add up, and I see no difference in the bottom line of these numbers than what we were presented in the summary the other day, then I'm willing to accept this as the canvas is being satisfied.
Mr. Lehman,
Yes, sir.
so what's in order? Do we make a motion that we accept these results?
There is a proposed motion, but I just want to clarify that, and I think Mrs. Nguyen makes issue on that we can, I guess, accept the total numbers
Yes, sir.
and
The-
consider the district as the independent school district. So we will dispense with the reading of each individual precinct at this time, and make a motion that we conclude or approve the Canvas School Board election returns election held on May 13, 2006 to be complete.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and Ms. Galvan has just joined us, and she is part of that vote. Okay, Mr. Ortiz, thank you very much, and sorry for the
No problem, thank you, Mr. President.
dilemma, and hopefully we, on that joint thing, we can work it out. If you need anything, we're here to help.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz.
Announcements, Doctor? Item 7?
5:30.
Okay. So I need a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, second. Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Meeting adjourned. School District's Board of Trustees special call board meeting scheduled for today, May 25th, 2006 at 5:30 at the Administration Building. Would everyone please rise for a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance? Would you lead us?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one and individual.
Move on to roll call. Everyone's present with the exception of Mr. Colunga. And Mr. Colunga, did he call?
He's on a special ed trip with his son.
Okay, so he will miss today's or tonight's meeting. Move on to item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the special call board meeting of May 25th, 2006 with any deletions, doctors?
We have none.
Hosky? None?
None.
Is there a motion to approve the board meeting of May 25th, 2000, or the special call board meeting of May 25th, 2006? Motion to approve, second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We move on to the consent agenda item. I have received a list from my colleagues indicating that there is no need for discussion or deliberation on the following items. Under 6, consent agenda, general function A, recommend approval of the following general function items. 1. Under 2, recommend approval of the following payments. Item 3. Under D, recommend approval of the following bids. Item 5, 6, 10, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 26, 30, 36, 37. Under E, recommend approval of the following requests for proposals, RFPs, item 38, 39. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items as read?
Move to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve consent items. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Move on to discussion of items. Under B, recommend approval of the following payments. 2, recommend approval to pay Drash Consulting Engineering $326, Gomez Mendez Science Incorporated $5,814, PBK Architects Incorporated $19,382.40, American Contracting USA $551,692.64, Circle Industries $55,246.23, Central Air and Heating Services Incorporated $29,450 for a grand total of $661,911.27 to be paid from local maintenance funds. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion to approve item 2. Is there a second?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question that needs clarification on the on one of the items. American Contracting, $551,000. Looking at the detail on pages, actually on pages 14, 15, and 16, and 17. I'm not, Cromac, let's see, Cromac Elementary, Palm Grove Elementary, they have mobilized. They are working. They have crews there. That seems to be in order. I saw a lot of materials on the ground. at Palm Grove. I did not see any materials at Cromac. Let me back up. The contractor is billing us for virtually 50% of their materials at this point in time. And I have no problem with, of course, I couldn't survey the materials at Palm Grove, but there were a lot of materials there. I saw absolutely no materials at Cromac, but that doesn't mean they're not there or they're not in our warehouse somewhere. Del Castillo, they're asking credit for $25,000 worth of materials. Del Castillo, I saw no evidence of any materials, nor has Del Castillo mobilized. So I don't know where the materials would be had they not even mobilized. So in addition to that, what I'm asking is, do we have documentation for these materials proving that we now have ownership of these materials once we've paid for them? Because generally, when you pay for a contractor's materials, he offers you evidence, gives you evidence, either a release of lien or an invoice saying paid in full. We don't want to find ourselves in a position where if something were to happen, it could happen, hopefully will not happen, that a contractor supplier comes and picks up his materials that we think belong to us. So generally, all the big boys, contracting business, you have evidence. When you want your money up front like that, like we're being asked to pay, you provide evidence of the transfer of ownership of those materials. So I'm asking, do we have that?
Dr. Stokowski?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Dr. Sokowski. Mr. Lehman, members of the board. The answer is yes. We always do that. That's standard operating procedure. The big storage place for all of the materials is at Cromac. They have, if you go out there, I don't know when you went, but be glad to go out there and show it to anybody. They have 3 big storage bins, like those metal storages that look almost as big as railroad cars, and they have everything in there. They have everything stored so it won't get wet. And from there, they take it to the job sites. It's true, we have not actually done work at Del Castillo. We've done some work at Palm Grove and a lot of work at Cromac. Actually, a lot of it is already applied. It's on the roofs at Cromac, a lot of it. And some of it is at Palm Grove. This is a payment that was requested back in 428. We're way past what they are charging us here. Way, way past that. Most of the stuff that even was then being charged for storage is already on top of the roof. So I have no problems with it. Do we get invoices? Yes, we do. And the architect reviews the invoices, and I get them too. I have them right here if anybody wants to see them. They're all here.
Mr. President. So may I address Mr. Gonzalez?
I'll take it.
Okay, so you're saying that the materials are all at Cromac?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
That's the main storage area.
okay.
And
Well,
from there, they take out.
I went around to the 3 sites 2 days ago and found no evidence of any materials at Cromac.
They're probably inside the storage bin.
Well, as I said earlier, there are a tremendous amount of materials on the ground at Palm Grove. So there are materials at Palm Grove. Could find nothing at Cromac, and you're saying that the materials for Del Castillo are at Cromac?
Yes, they're in the storage.
And you do have invoices indicating that we will be owners of that material?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. If we're satisfied that that's the case, well, that's fine then.
So we own the materials.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Well, we don't own them until we pay for them. But
So after tonight, we'll own.
once they're put up and everything.
Some of them.
And we have payment bonds and performance bonds, everything that goes along with the contracts. I certainly don't worry about it, put it this way. Everything's under performance bonds and maintenance bonds and everything, under contract. And architect does check for invoices. We do have the invoices here, make sure they're paid for, and so on and so forth. And we do have pictures of all the storage material. We take a lot of pictures too.
Well, when vendors don't get paid and there's default, they file lien against their materials on your roofs.
And before they even do the final payment, Mr. Munoz,
Yeah.
we asked all the subcontractors to sign off that there's no liens.
Right. Well, by law, they have to do that,
Yeah.
yeah. Register it with the county clerk, I might add.
Good.
Did you find any propane tanks? Just kidding.
Lots of them.
Okay. Satisfied, Mr. Munoz?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Any other further questions? There's a motion and a second to approve item 2. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Move on to item 3, recommend approval to pay PBK Architects.
Item 4.
Okay, sorry. Item 4, recommend approval of, C, recommend approval of the following contracts and agreements. 4, recommend approval to approve Gary Looney renewal of contract for insurance consulting services. The new term will be from June 15, 2006 to June 15, 2007. Services to be provided subject to the district's needs and funding. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
There's a motion to approve. There's a second? Second? Oh, there's a motion and a second. Discussion, I circle this item because I will not be approving this item. Any further discussion?
I just make a statement.
Yes, sir.
I just want to, we put it in the background, but we had our people, all of the people on the insurance committee spoke in favor of Mr. Looney. If there would have been any discontent, we might have looked at another consultant. Number 2 is that we've done so well with our insurance this year. Being in the black, as we reported at the committee, it just seems that our employees really enjoy the relationship they have with Mr. Looney, so we're recommending it tonight.
Okay, further discussion? Mr. Aguilar?
Mr. Lemon, you know, some of our professionals, and this is not, I don't mean it as an insult or anything like that, but some of our professional people out in the field sometimes might need some help with the insurance during their insurance committee. So to me, it's very important that they have someone, an expert, to help them along the process of choosing what's best for them and what's best for the other teachers in terms of insurance. And yes, and I concur with Dr. Z. I think Mr. Looney did an excellent job in advising our group of people, and also, I guess, when we have $3.1 million savings, I think Mr. Sanchez, that you reported to us at the budget committee, evidently somebody's doing a good job somewhere.
4 million.
Thank you, sir.
Additional comments?
Real quick.
Mr. Powers?
Yeah, President Lehman, the reason I have to support it, because anytime the Employees Insurance Committee from the 51 campuses do a survey and all of them come back positive, I mean, who am I to question that? And that's why I feel we have to support it, because it is, they are the ones saying we need Mr. Looney. So I have to agree with the committees.
Additional comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 4. All those in favor signify by raising your hand or saying aye. Aye. All those against, same sign. Motion fails, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 2. Okay, move on to item D, recommend approval to the following bids. Number 7, recommend awarding bid number 06-064 for audio-visual equipment district-wide to several vendors, annual bid. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second.
There's a motion to approve item 7 and a second. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
Yes, sir. What, the reason I circle this is that this item, let's see, is, we have spent in the last 12 months $600,000 on this item. And I'm not questioning whether or not we needed that, or do we need more or less. I don't know. I just don't know. But what bothers me, and the reason that the majority of these I circle tonight, and I did circle the majority of the items that are going to be discussed tonight, and it may become redundant as we go along here, is that some of these amounts of monies are rather large amounts of monies. And either that, or there's only one bid, or there's this is the first time and I want to know why, what we did, how we got along with it in the past and things like that. But in this case, for instance, there's $600,000. I would like to know how we put together a budget and we say, well, this is going to be within budget constraints. Well, what, within $400 million? Come on. When do the bells and whistles, you know, and I've heard the administration say, well, we watch every item, everything comes across my desk, I sign off on this and that. But at what point in time halfway through the year or a third of the way through the year, depending on if it's something that should be purchased up front so everyone can enjoy it or have access to this benefit or material or whatever it happens to be during the course of the year. At what point in time does the bell go off and say, whoa, we're up to $800,000, what's going on here? And call someone in and find out what is going on. We're obviously going to go way over what we have. And I've noticed some of these things where administration has complied with my previous request that they tell us what they spent in the last 12 months. Well, these things, since I've been on the board in the last 3 years, I've seen some of these things go up from $25,000 to $100,000. They've gone up by factors of 2s and 3s. So in absence of bid constraints or budgeting constraints, some of these items, virtually the sky's the limit. And I know that I'll hear that that's not true. We watch things very closely, but I can see that some of these things in the last 3 years have doubled and tripled. And I'm sure there's a good reason for it. But unless we employ different constraints, I don't know if 600,000 is a good number. I don't know if it was 300,000 last year. I don't know if it'll be $1 million next year. Unless we start doing that, I find it difficult to just sign off on 600,000 and we're not going to ask any questions. We might next year, this $600,000 could be $1 million, and next year we'll say, well, last 12 months we spent $1 million, and we'll go, okay, fine. So how do we get a handle on it? This is what bothers me.
Okay, I'll give a comment, but I'll let Mr. Sanchez go first.
Mr. Lehman, Dr. Sokowski, board members, in terms of how do we check what we're doing, well, over the last 3 years, our fund balance had grown. That's one check, because we never been over budget, and when we're not over budget, then you see the revenues exceeding the expenditures, so therefore there's proof there that we're managing our funds rather well. As you well know, we're building 2 elementaries out of our resources, working capital. Each campus and each administration at the campus level has been given an opportunity at our budget hearings to look at their campus improvement plan, convert that into the needs that they request, whether they be personnel, supplies, capital outlay. What we do is to make sure that when we approve the budget, that they get all the necessary resources, and specifically in Function 11. Since I've been here and the superintendent has been here for the last 3 years, we have never not denied or cut any of the campus budgets. And therefore, if we're going to hold them to be successful, whether this year they want 600,000 in this particular line item and next year they want $1 million, that's what they need. That's what the campus administrator have said that's what they need. This year it may be computers, next year may be something else. And I am not going to sit and question why they want this much money in a particular line item. If it's tied back to the campus improvement plan, then that's what we're going to give them the opportunity to be successful. And I think for the most part, all the campuses also have an ability to check their budgets to make sure that they don't overspend their budgets. Superintendent and I, we have a weekly report every Monday and Tuesday, and we're looking at the percentages that are being spent, campus, by departments. We look at overtime. We look at all these things. So there are a lot of gatekeepers. There are gatekeepers at the campus level and gatekeepers here at the central office.
Let me just add, Mr. Munoz, you're going to see some jumps because of that $7 million we put in technology, which is going to be meaning that we're going to be spending some more money as we progress with these bids. We poured, I think, over $10 million in the school district. $1 million for fine arts. I mean, there was like $7 million for technology, 2.5 for grants. I can go on and on. And that will cause the rise of how much we're buying in audiovisual in a lot of these different areas because they were in need of getting stuff. Now, whether that goes up or down, everyone has a budget. And yes, they do move money. For instance, if Mr. Chedinos needs a bunch of long blocks in his buses, he's gonna have to shift some money to buy those. We're not gonna park those buses, we're gonna fix them. And he'll need to move his money around. That's why we have a lot of budget amendments, is because the money we receive in an account, you may start out that way, but if you burn up 12 or 13 computers, all of a sudden you've gotta shift the money to replace those computers in the classroom. But these numbers can go up and down, and it's very difficult, you know, to come once a month or twice a month to look at this and say, how does this compare? All I can tell you, Mr. Sanchez is correct. During the last 3 years, our fund balance has grown for several reasons, but it's grown. We watch the money. I get a printout every Monday of every department and the percentages they're spending, and whether I see surges or whether I don't. And yes, it takes a lot of time to look at that, but it's the guarantee that we have to this board that we're managing the money correctly.
Yes, sir.
So actually, sir, the total amount of money that's here is a result of after taking to all the principals and coming up with what they really needed on
They think
campus
they're gonna need.
based on the campus improvement plan. So we total out this, and you more or less put a figure here that would, as a result of these meetings that you have with your principals, and perhaps an additional percentage just in case prices go up.
It's not an exact science, because I could need more, or I may want to use less, depending on if I need something else happen to me during the middle of the year. But each year we have the annual bids so that people can buy from these different companies. This sets more into place more than the amount. It sets into place who you're doing business with.
Dr. Z, perhaps in the future, during the budget committees or meetings, they can give us a spreadsheet as to say, let's say, comments needed X number of overhead projectors, stuff like that, you know, just to satisfy, to look some of these figures, if it's possible. I think
We
it can
could
be
look at our capital,
Yes, I
our
think it can be done.
6600s
Yeah,
would be easier to track, because those have inventory numbers.
right.
Additional comments?
I do.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, and I agree with, I think Mr. Aguilar has very skillfully expressed my concerns, and that is this, do we have a number when we say that we spent $600,000 last year, and he asked the question, in other words, we have 52, 53 campuses, we know how much they're going to get per campus for visual aids equipment. Is it 400? Does it add up to 400,000? Does it add up to 550,000 plus 10% contingency, 600,000? And that's what Mr. Aguilar was trying to get across to you, and he did very well. And this is what I'm trying to get across. These numbers have to have a basis, and you answered him and said more or less that yes, we do that. But my question was, at what point in time, what sort of bells and whistles do you have? And then you say that Mr. Sanchez says you can't argue with success, and that we have a fund balance that's looking very good. But then on the other hand, we as elected officials for representing the voter and the taxpayer, we have to, it's our responsibility to make sure that the taxpayer is not overtaxed. If we have a lot of money coming in, of course, we'll have a budget surplus, but are we overtaxing our taxpayer? And if we have budgets that can't account for or have the apparatus of being able to do exactly what we've been asking for, we just will continue having, I feel, budgets that are not representative of reality, because there appears to be no reason to know that we need 600,000 or we need if we need 700,000, tell us we need 700,000. But to just say, well, it was 600,000 last year and whatever it'll be. No. We're not going to allow you to buy $4 million worth of computers next year if we spent $2 million last year. We'll probably start asking lots of questions. Why are we spending $800 per unit when we know we can buy something else for $500 or $400 or $300? So we are not going to give you carte blanche just because someone said, well, we need new computers. Well, computer-wise, we're in very good shape. And we question whether or not we need to pay $800 a unit for computers, but that's another discussion. But what I'm trying to get at is that we just don't expect us to give you carte blanche and say, here it is and what it'll end up being. don't worry, we're watching it. Well, I worry about that.
Thank you. Number one, on computers, if you'll recall, we rebid those. We're even better than the state bid because we rebid those. They were like 1,000. I think we're down to 800. We ran our own bid outside of the buy board or the best bid in the state. So we've taken care of that. Number two, another point, we've never been over budget. A budget the board approved. Number three is that we haven't raised taxes in 3 years. Not since I've been here. And number four is we have a AAA bond rating because we do have a fund balance and we manage our money well. And you, on several occasions, have identified that and recognized it, which I appreciate, because I think we do a good job.
I'd like to manage it better.
Thank you.
I have a
think
comment.
we're doing well.
I have a
No
comment.
taxes.
On along the lines of fund balance, are these considered instructional materials or equipment
Yes,
for campuses?
11
It is my understanding that,
and 12.
that they have been cut 20% of their budget, or they've been asked all campuses. Is that true or not?
No, I don't know who's made up
We're
that
not
rule.
restricting campuses.
They spend every dime they have.
Well, that's the feedback that came back, that
We need to know which campus so we can double check that, Mr. Lehman.
52 campuses.
Like
Oh, good.
Mr. Lehman, you know, it's kind of strange because on Monday on the budget, I saw in the state come where they're really spending $11 million for next year, of course. And so how can they be cutting when they're being given more money? You know, my concern at that time was, are we doing this and are we going to be in compliance? But what we saw on Monday, not the 199, the 99 stayed the same. What was it? $77, 75?
Compens- On compensatory?
No, on
Or-
local,
or-
199. I think you said
99.
$75 per child,
Oh, you're talking on
the budget.
it was
That's
80
$199.
Yeah, 199.
Yeah, it was 85, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but I think they're working on 75 this year, no? But it's been like they were, or whatever
Oh,
number.
you're talking the campuses, yes.
Yes,
it
on
was
the
75.
campuses, 75.
Yeah.
So they've been like that for
High
a
school.
couple of 3 years, you know, so.
75, 45, and 35.
yeah.
Respectfully. Yes, sir.
Just I can say that I probably have canceled 2 or 3 POs. One was an extravagant trip, one was a riding lawnmower for a principal. And I was trying to tie that to instruction. But most of them, if you look at my percentages, you can look in 162. They're all in the 90s, high 90s. We're worried sometimes that they'll spend more than they have. We've had on a couple of instances that happened this year, and Mr. Fuller corrected that. The 199 money is being spent. But I do question why somebody would order library books now when they should have ordered them in September, is what the opening statement, Mr. Munoz made. And we do question that because the new money arrives July 1st.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the campuses do get allowed to spend. Additional comments? Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to reinforce that, that whatever we're when spending our money on, that we are looking at the 65%, that we're aiming towards our 65 instructional.
Mr. Lehman, and the point is well taken, because, you know, we need to know that our campus are not shortchanged. You see, that they're given every opportunity to spend their money, and if it's possible, additional money. But according to the budget that we saw, I think it was Monday, they were doing all right, unless something it's not there that we didn't see.
Additional comments? Yes, sir. Mr. Powers.
I think Dr. Skoski and I think Mr. Sanchez, y'all hit on the nail. The key to accounting and expending money is the percentages. If you see a drastic percentage on line 11 go from 40% to 80%, then that tells you we have a problem. If you're doing it on a weekly basis, then I think we're following up. And also the other key is, if we're approving a $415 million budget the prior year and they come to us and say we need $425 million, then we have a problem. We're $420 million. And then they come to you and say we need a 10-cent tax rate increase. Those are your red flags. The percentages, the fund balance, the annual budget, and the tax rate. And that's where you determine if there's excessive spending or not. And hopefully it's not to exceed 600, but you know, as long as we're not taking money away from the campuses, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Additional comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead. Yes.
point of clarification. The administration has asked for tax increases in the last 3 years. We have not granted them. We have not granted them. This board has not granted them.
Touche, Mr. Munoz.
Very good.
Okay, additional comments,
That
Mr.
is
Aguilar?
I just want to say that that's true, Otis, but also, like Mr. Sanchez alluded to, says that the gatekeepers, they need to spend the money as the year starts. It's kind of late now to be ordering library books or buying equipment. And let me tell you, it's not every campuses. It's only maybe 1, 2, or 3, and perhaps we need to look at that because really, they're hurting children when they don't spend their money and hindering instruction, because those are the tools that our kids, our teachers, and kids need in their campus. But let me assure you that I'm pretty sure it's not that many. It's normally 2 or 3 that perhaps did not get to spending all their money.
Additional comments? Motion and second to approve item 7. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item 8, recommend awarding bid 06-068 for dry cleaning and alteration service district-wide to Comet Cleaners, Brownsville, Texas, annual bid. Motion to approve.
Move. Second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Item 8, Mr. Munoz, discussion?
Yes, the reason I circled this is it said that, that we did not have any information that this was, no information on how much we spent last year. I can't believe that we haven't employed someone to do dry cleaning for the district. Why is this?
We have band uniforms, we have a student Tina. It's probably in about 20 or 30 different accounts, I would imagine. I mean, it's not that we couldn't go back and, you know.
I'm not questioning the need for it. I'm just questioning is why do we not know how much we spent?
Mr. Sanchez, do you know?
Yes, board members, basically it's because in the prior years, we were not exceeding the $25,000. Now we have more participants, more schools, and so now this is the first time. That's why we don't have any record, any history of what we were spending, and we didn't put it in for this line item.
So what did you code it to? What's it coded to?
Well, it could have been bought by a booster club to pay for the cleaning, so we would have not picked up on that number. If we paid for the cleaning, then we'd have a distant record on a campus for it. I mean, it would take.
I'm sure we
Oh yeah, if we paid for it, we have to have a record
Sure
for
we
it. Yeah.
did.
My point is we may have not paid for all the cleaning.
possibly, but I'm sure a district this size has got a lot of dry cleaning, and you gotta have a code to code it.
It would be under 6200. It's a rental.
I just find it strange that we wouldn't be able to sort it out.
I don't think it's that much, Mr. Munoz.
Wow, surprising.
Well, they don't clean them. I mean, band people are very, very prudent with their money. They'd rather have new instruments and some other things. They do clean the uniforms, plus they hang them up and let them dry out, and they don't wear them when it rains.
Mr. Lehman? Yes, sir. I also was reading some of these purpose, and it was kind of strange that we have to deliver all these to the dry cleaners. If I were a dry cleaner company, I'd be more than glad to pick up all
No.
that stuff, you know?
That's
But
the
then-
old days.
Yeah,
Bottle laundry will come in.
gotta be somewhere.
You'll
that
notice we
put
only had
this
2
and
bids.
save the district, whatever they're talking about, because when I saw the reason they wanted to go with the second bid was because going to San Benito, whatever it is, would cost us money. Of course, I can see that, but if I were a dry cleaner, I would be more than
Opportunity,
glad.
business opportunity.
Yeah, I would go pick them up.
They don't.
Provide a service to the
Additional
cleaners.
comments? A motion a second to approve item 8. All those in favor signify by raising hand, saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Move on to item 9, recommend awarding bid 06-069 for curriculum assessment materials district-wide to several vendors. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. I
A
second.
motion, a second, discussion, Mr. Munoz.
This is in the same vein as the other one, the item 7 above, so I think we've heard our explanation on that. It's $316,000 last year. There's really no need to beat it up again, probably, unless you have something else to add to it. Anyone?
No, we're okay. We recommend.
There's a
Say no.
motion. I'm sorry,
I'm
additional
not gonna
comments?
say no, obviously.
Additional comments? Motion, there's a motion, a second to award item 9. All those in favor signify by
11
raising
there.
hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Move on to 11. Recommend awarding bid number 06-071 for re-roofing services district-wide rebid to several vendors' annual bid. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, well, this has been circled by me because I believe there's an abstention. So if there's any discussion, Okay, we'll move on to a motion, there's a motion and a second to approve item 11. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, all those abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
Dr. Escobedo will be abstaining, so motion passes 6-0-1. Item 12, recommend awarding bid number, 5-0-1. Mr. Kalunga, I guess I must like him a lot. Item 12, recommend awarding bid number 6-072 for building supplies and materials district-wide to several vendors. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve item 12. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
This item was for we spent $408,000, $408,600 last year. That's a lot of money. Same thing, with this kind of money, I would prefer that we have bells and whistles on it. Otherwise, we know what can happen to some of these things.
Dr. Salkowski?
If you recall, we had an amendment, I think, of over $100,000 that went to help that balcony and extra. So this number soared a little bit because Ray went to town, and we actually did the balcony for probably a third or fourth of the cost that the contractors would charge us. And you'll probably see this number grow when we start working on the annex, because we plan to do a lot with our summer employees working there this year. So, but we are controlling this number to a certain extent. So it was a little large because of that balcony.
And along that same line, on the summer employment package that we have, and you shouldn't assume things, but I'll use that word. I assume that we have a list. We have a work plan that we know what we want to do this summer, and we know how many hours it's going to take to do it. Is that correct?
Mr. Gonzalez has all of that.
Okay. So we're glad to hear that because I think on somewhere else we've cut back the hours on that item, and it's not on this issue, but since you did mention it, it allowed me to get my foot in the door.
We'll do some checking on that.
Okay, because if we do have a list of what we wish to accomplish, then I don't see how the hours could have been cut back.
Mr. Lehman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Aguilar.
Dr. Z, do you think it's possible that maybe this summer they can do some cleaning on that the old parental involvement building? It's been on the shelves for almost a year and a half. Maybe this summer they can look at it and pressure wash some of the walls, or
We could do that.
we can do that. It's basic downtown area right across the old county courthouse. So but perhaps we can look at it this year.
I'll let Mr. Gonzalez put it on his list.
Maybe implode it.
Mr. Ray, put it on your list.
I just like to add that I think this entire board supports our summer program with our bus drivers and whoever else is in the pool to do this work. It's at a very reasonable cost, and we need to help our folks, and we recognize the benefit of it. So if we've heard earlier tonight that we're in good shape financially, well, I think it behooves us to improve the district for a few more bucks and not cut it down from 32 to 24 hours or whatever it was. If we have to go to 40 hours for 3 weeks or whatever, let's do it.
I must commend Mr. Arteaga's work and his crew on the balcony. Your next task is to start building schools, because you can do it for 1/4 of the cost.
There goes the maintenance.
Additional comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 12. All those in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 13, recommend awarding bid number 06-074 for fencing services, supplies, and materials district-wide to Hurricane Fence Company, Harlingen, Texas. Annual bid. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. I'll second.
Motion and second to approve item 13. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
I don't have any problem with this bid or the company that it was awarded to. They have a very good reputation. The only thing that bothers me is we only had one bid, and whenever we see one bid, it kind of throws up a flag for me. But the vendor, I understand, has got a very good reputation, and certainly they've done good work for us. It just bothers me that we only have one bid.
Dr. Salkowski?
We send and notify all the bidders. In fact, Rosie and her crew, they get after it. You know, we had 8 or 10 people that received it, and you know, we asked them to bid, and But when only one bid comes in on time, then that's what we have to honor.
So what are the comments from the other bidders that they're not bidding? What would be the anomaly here, or the concern?
Mr. Sanchez, would there be any? Rosie? No response.
Did we ask? Okay, no response. There's any further comments, discussion? There's a motion and a second to approve item 13. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand. Aye, motion carries. Move on to casting of lots for item 14. Recommend awarding bid number 06-075 for electrical supplies and materials district-wide to several vendors and cast lots for item 23 of said bid. Okay.
One or the other.
Bush Supply Company of Brownsville, winner of item 23. Is there a motion to approve item 14 to Bush
Second.
Supply? There's a motion and a second to approve item 14 to Bush Supply Company. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand.
Aye.
Motion carries. Move on to item 15. Recommend award bid number 06-076 for football supplies and materials district-wide to several vendors and cast lots for items 49, 50, and 51 of said bid. Item 49. Item 49 is awarded to Team Sports of Texas. Item 50. Item 50 is awarded to Team Sports of Texas, Victoria, Texas. Item 51. Item 51 goes to Team Sports of Texas, Victoria, Texas. Is there a motion to approve bids 49 and 50, 51 as read?
Move.
There's a motion. Second? There's a motion and second to award item 15, items 49, 50, 51 of cast lots. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raising your hand. All, Mr. Munoz? Okay. Motion carries. Move on to item 17. Recommend awarding bid numbers 06-078 for volleyball supplies and materials district-wide to several vendors in cast lots, items number 10, number 11, and 12 of said bid. Item 10. Item 10 goes to Woody's Sporting Goods, La Feria, Texas. Way to go, Woody. Item 11 is awarded to Team Sports of Texas, Victoria, Texas. Item 12. Item 12 goes to Woody's Sporting Goods, La Feria, Texas. Is there a motion to approve items, cast lots, items 10, 11, and 12 to said vendors? There's a motion and a second to approve item 17. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand. Motion carries. Move on to item 22. Recommend awarding bid number 06-086 for construction supplies and materials district-wide to several vendors. Is there a motion to recommend?
Move.
There's a motion and a second to recommend item 22. Munoz, discussion.
Yes, I just had one question. Item 22, in the last 12 months, we spent $223,000 for construction supplies and materials, and that's a fact. Item 12 is that we just went over a while ago. We spent $408,000 for building supplies and materials. How did we differentiate between building supplies and materials and construction supplies and materials?
Rosie?
Sir, in the present bid that you're reading for construction supplies, namely is for caliche, concrete, rock, in that area.
Field dirt, all that stuff.
Field dirt, yeah.
Okay. Bulk materials.
The other one was lumber, everything else related to that.
Okay, thank you.
Additional comments? Motion and a second to approve item 22. All those in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand. Motion carries. Move on to item 24, recommend awarding bid number,
Pull that one.
excuse me?
Go ahead.
Item 24, recommend awarding bid number 06-090 for intercom repair service supplies and materials district-wide to Circle Industries Incorporated, Harlingen, Texas, annual bid. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
There's a motion.
Second.
Is there a second? Motion and second. Mr. Munoz?
This was one of those items that it was just one bid. I don't know how many we got in, but this is down to one bid.
I question, Mr. Munoz, a lot of the equipment that we have is tied to them, and other people really don't want to come in.
Proprietary.
Well, well, they could get it, but it's a lot difficult since it's their own equipment.
Only one.
And
bid.
there's a warranty item. Warranty also. Okay.
I see. I see.
26 vendors
Thank
were
you.
notified.
26, yeah. And only one bid, yeah.
Okay, there's a motion. Any further discussion? There's a motion and a second to award, recommend awarding item 24. All those in favor signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 25, recommend award bid number 06091 for annual network cabling installation and repair district-wide to Pathway Solutions, Brownsville, Texas. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
There's a motion and a second to approve item 25. Discussion. I don't know why I circled it, but anyway, I don't have any comments. Any
It's
discussion?
only two bidders.
Yeah, I know.
Too busy, got
Nobody we
circled.
know.
I really got carried away, didn't I?
Circle too many.
I just didn't want to be left behind, Mr. Munoz.
Yeah, well, gotta catch up.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to award item 25. All those in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye. Motion carries. Item 27, recommend awarding bid number 06-093 for electrical contract service, contractor services district-wide to several vendors. Motion to approve?
Move.
Motion to approve item 27. Second.
I'll second.
There's a motion and second. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
Yes, thank you. I'm surprised that this is, we have not had I thought we had an electrician that we had on call in the past.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Dr. Sokowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board. We used to have an in-house electrician that could pull permits for us and would do a lot of the work inside. However, this person is no longer available to do that, so we go out for an outside bid.
I was certain that we had a contracting firm that.
A few years ago, we did,
Okay.
and then we stopped, and then we coming back to.
Okay, I see. I see.
Further discussion? Comments? There's a motion and a second to award item 27. All those in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 28, recommend awarding bid number 06-095 for choir supplies and accessories district-wide to several vendors. Annual bid. Is there a motion to approve item 28?
Move.
Motion to approve and a second, item 28. Discussion, Mr. Munoz?
Here again, it's a first-time bid, and we don't have any costs attributable to that, so I'm surprised.
I can just tell you, Mr. Munoz, that there's a couple of good companies that are on this, and we spend money on shells, which are your choir shells that you set up on stage. I know you're familiar with that, and other stage lighting, such as fennels and different things that choir may need in their performance. So they haven't really had a lot, but we wanted to make sure we had those companies on bid, and that'll be in their budgets.
I don't question the need for it, obviously. It's just that I'm surprised that we haven't been able to identify. I know we've spent monies in the past on choirs. We've got bands, we've got lots of them.
We use
They're
Melhart for
excellent.
a lot of music, but they're also on the choir bid now.
I see.
Mr. Lehman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perhaps we see in our fine arts departments on the go.
Yeah.
And perhaps in the past, we always took care of instrumental, and now we're looking at choir. Perhaps that's, could be it, and I'm kind of happy to see this.
They have their own category.
I think, when are the band instruments coming in?
Just kidding.
Okay, I know,
It's
sir.
not on the agenda.
I know. Additional comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 27. All those, item 28. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand. Motion carries unanimous. Item 29, cast lots. Recommend awarding bid number 06-9096 for dance supplies, accessories, and costume making district-wide to several vendors and cast lots for items 8, 13, and 20 of said bid. Go to item 8. Item 8 goes to Team Go Figure Incorporated, Garland, Texas. Item 13. Item 13 goes to Varsity Spirit Fashions, Memphis, Tennessee. Item 20. Item 20 goes to Varsity Spirit Fashions, Memphis, Tennessee. Is there a motion to approve item 29 to set vendors for cast lots items 8, 13, and 20?
Move.
There's a motion, second? Motion second to approve item 29. All those in favor signify by raising hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 31, recommend awarding bid number 06-101 for contract services for cold storage for food and nutrition services, service district-wide to Tex-Mex Cold Storage, Brownsville, Texas, annual bid. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. Second.
Motion to approve item 31. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
This is one of those items that have grown a lot since I've been on the board. And I recall the number being below 50,000 not long ago. And we've talked about expanding our own cold storage. And I want to encourage us to not lose sight of that project.
We wanted to do the road first before we added on so the trucks could get there, but you know, the road's on hold.
Additional comments? Okay. Motion and a second to recommend item 31. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raising your hand. Aye. Motion carries. Move on to item 33. Recommend awarding bid number 30.
Kitchen parts.
I'm sorry?
32.
Well, I don't have it circled, so.
Sorry.
Read it.
You didn't
You
call.
didn't read it? I apologize.
That's okay.
I think you should read it.
Okay, I'll read it anyway. I'm gonna get you, Munoz. I got two now. Recommend awarding bid number 06-02 for repair parts for kitchen equipment and walk-in cooler, freezer for food and nutrition service for several vendors. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve in a second. Second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and second to approve item 32. Discussion. Mr. Lehman doesn't have any. Any comments? Okay. Motion to approve item 32. Is there a motion? Excuse me. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 33, recommend awarding bid number 06-103 for food service equipment for Porter, Pace, and Hannah High Schools renovation projects to several vendors. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Motion.
I'll second.
There's a second to approve item 33. Mr. Munoz, discussion?
The only item was that we only had one bid on this. We all know we need to do this, but it just bothered me we only had one bid.
And any further discussion? Who was the bidder?
I didn't look.
5 bids were received, of which 1 bid was submitted after the
Okay.
first time bid. There was 5 bids, not 1. 1 was after it came in after the submission date.
Item 33 was 5 bids were considered, or
Yes.
5 bids came in?
Yes,
Okay,
they
then
were
I-
received.
I'm mistaken then.
It's okay. And 1 was actually after the submission date.
Four were accepted and one got it.
Right, and 3 different companies, 3 different
Three got it?
companies
3 got
were
it.
awarded bids.
Right. Okay, further discussion, item 34. There's a motion at
33.
33. I'm just making sure you're awake there, Counselor. I like that. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 33. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raising your hand, motion carries. Item 34, recommend awarding bid number 06-104 for new walk-in cooler freezer and existing walk-in freezer upgrade for Hannah Porter and Pace High Schools to Kitchen Resources LP, Harlingen, Texas. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. Second.
Second. Motion and a second to approve item 34. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
I have no discussion.
Oh,
Thank
you're what? Abstain?
No.
He's okay.
You're okay. I'm
okay.
sorry. I
He's
couldn't hear.
okay.
This thing on? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 34. All those in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye. Motion carries on item 34. Item 35, recommend awarding bid number 06-105 for concrete and related materials district right to several vendors. Is there a motion?
Move.
Motion to approve item 34. Is there a second? Motion and second. Mr. Munoz?
In the last 12 months, we spent $241,000 on concrete. That's a lot of concrete. That's a lot of concrete. But I'm sure it was all necessary. That's not why I circle this. What my concern is on this is that we awarded it, I believe, to two vendors.
Yes, sir.
And those vendors, by what I can see on the backup, are from Edinburgh and Mission. Unless they have a local delivery, Edinburgh and Mission we can't, it'll take more than an hour to get here, and generally you don't accept concrete that's been in a truck for more than 45 minutes. That's why when you get a concrete truck rolls up, it has the time on it that it left the plant, the batch plant. So unless these two outfits have something in Harlingen or San Benito or Brownsville, they can't deliver from Edinburgh and Mission within that time frame. Doctor?
Gonzalez or someone
I
know
don't know,
about
I
this
call on Mr. Arteaga, he's more in concrete than I am. Mr. Arteaga, you have any comments on that?
on the concrete?
On concrete, Mr. Lehman, Dr. Z, members of the board. Both of these companies have local deliveries here. One of the businesses is located at in front of the port, and the other one is on Highway 802.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Ray.
Good.
Well, I noticed South Texas Concrete I see they have a Brownsville plant,
They
but
don't bid.
they didn't bid, the Edinburgh outfit bid, so I guess that was the question.
But they deliver from here.
Okay.
So they will be delivering from these plants? Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay. Any further comments, discussion? Okay, their motion second to approve item 35. All those in favor signify by raising hand saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Move on to E, recommend approval of the following requests for proposals, RFPs. 40, recommend awarding RFP number 06-082 for marching band show writing services for high school rebid to several vendors annual bid. Motion to award.
Move.
Second.
There's a motion, a second to award item 40. Mr. Munoz, discussion?
This is one of those items that I believe has gone up several-fold. I questioned it a year or so ago at 25,000. I think we had spent 19,000 or something the previous year when I questioned it. And yeah, this is for show marching routines and so forth. So my concerns, these things have a way of, and we've got great bands. I'm supportive of our bands. There's no doubt there. But here we are, we managed to get along for $19,000 a year a couple of years ago. Now we're up to 75,000. I'm concerned that next year it'll be 150,000. We can spend the money. We're good at spending money, but are we good at managing it? This from 25 to 75,000 is a big jump.
Mr. Lehman?
Doctor?
It has gone up. People that write these shows, but we're also getting shows written for drill teams, for rifle teams. There's more teams who do. It's not just the same number. Plus, if you're going to have the honor band in the state, which we've had, if you're going to go to the state marching contest, these shows cost money, because if you're going to compete with Westfield, Spring, all the big boys, you've got to have a good show. Our kids have got to be on the same playing field. It's like why we buy band uniforms every 7 to 10 years. We've got to maintain. I wouldn't want any of our kids not to have that opportunity. Shows have gone up. I mean, we used to buy them for $1,500. We were so excited, and You can't even talk to them. Plus, remember, not only do they write the show, they prepare the music. Everything comes in this package. It's not like the old days where band directors drew up something on a piece of paper. In order to compete statewide, they have to have a professional show written by professional people with professional music if we're going to compete. It's almost like buying instruments. I mean, it's as important, because if your show is no good, you could have great musicians and the judges say, oh, that show is so plain, there's nothing to it. But, and I go to those marching contests. It is as fierce a competition as any of the soccer team playing in the state game when they go to those marching contests. And even though $75,000 is a lot of money, and that's probably the top end. I don't know what we spent last year. I know we did talk about this last year, though. I really feel our kids need a chance. And we're watching now that we have a fine arts director who's on top of it, we're watching the numbers.
You know, that's the same argument that we heard last time.
That's right.
And it's a good argument. I find no fault with it. But somewhere, at some point in time,
Yeah.
you know, when you go from 25 or 20,000 to 75 and the argument's still good, next year we'll hear the same argument, because really there's not another argument that can beat that argument. We need to compete, and when you're at 150,000, then why not 300,000? So somewhere along the line, someone has to bite the bullet and say, no, that's it, we reached our threshold. I don't know where our threshold is, but certainly we're very good to our people. And
We have great bands, yes, sir.
we do have great bands, but
And we're known for our music.
eventually, you know, we can't be gold-plated. That's all.
State champions.
Any more arguments on 40?
No, I just want to say that it might look, 75,000 might look a lot of money, but if you really look across the state, in some of these districts, they spend double what we're doing right now, tonight. I'm sincerely mean that. And again, it's just a performance. I mean, we used to do it free. You know, band directors used to design all the drills, but that was about 40, 50 years ago.
At least.
Nowadays, everybody wants money.
Stipend.
Yeah, and so now they sell it.
Powers?
Yeah, well, I'm just glad if you look at it, we're spending money in the fine arts, but the money is going to the kids.
Yeah.
It ain't going to a building, an architect or an engineer. It's going to the kids. So I love this.
I just want to make one comment. If you go to the All-State, in February they have the All-State Band and All-State Choir, and they show you the averages of their SAT scores. Because they are in music, they're actually learning a different language in music. They're 13, 1,200, 1,400. All of those kids have tremendous minds, and putting money into the arts really helps generate instruction.
Mr. Lehman.
Yes, sir.
That, Dr. Z, but those people from Plano and some of these rich districts, some of these young people have private tutors.
Oh, yeah.
And they spend time after time with them. That's why they're very successful. And here locally, when some of these people come and talk to me, you know, and they tell me that when a band director is using his own money to repair instruments or to mend a uniform or to send a cleaner, you know, it's kind of, I don't know what I can't find the word to say it, but I guess I don't want to say it in public.
No. That's what it is.
But you know what it is, we need to give them some leadway. And again, who's going to be responsible? The Fine Arts Department. We just need to make them accountable. And to see that this money is spent wisely and is given to all the schools appropriately. There's a balance across the district, not favoring certain programs. And I think what's happening right now, I think that's where the direction we're going. For those that, and I'll just give me a few seconds, for those that have seen the Porter Festival on TV and some of these programs, you can see how our Fine Arts Department has really taken off. And I'm pleased to see this.
Ms. Galvan?
I wanted to clarify also that the competition not only is state, you know, going away to state, but it's also Valley. And you see other Valley schools are spending a lot of money also, so this is money well spent.
Additional comments? Motion and a second to award item 40. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Last item on F, recommend approval of the following requests for qualifications, RFQs. Item 41, recommend awarding RFQ number 06-033 to select ACR Engineering Incorporated, Harlingen, Texas, to provide mechanical engineering services for the HVAC renovation project for the Lopez Band Hall building in the amount not to exceed $11,160. Project to be done subject to the district's needs and funding. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Move.
There's a
Second.
motion to approve item 41. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
Yes, the scope of work, I'd like to know what the scope of work is. This is apparently estimated at $186,000.
Correct.
What are we going to do for that?
Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you, Dr. Sokowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board. Yeah, we're gonna redo the whole band section as far as air conditioning, including air handlers, and we have DX units. We're gonna replace those with high energy units, and we're even gonna do test and balance. We might have to do some reroutes and duct work through the years. At Lopez High School, I've been in AA over there also, and sometimes it gets very hot in those band halls, and we might have to put additional and calculate the tonnage and see what we're doing right, and really redo the whole air conditioning unit for the band hall.
So those are RTUs, rooftop units?
Yes.
Okay, and are they the original?
Yes.
Okay, so they're about 20 years old, and
They were built, what, 1993, 92, somewhere in there is when Lopez opened, so.
more than 20 years old.
Yes.
Do we have an estimate on the tonnage on this? How many tons we're talking about?
I don't know, Mr.
Price per
Tapia,
ton?
do you have those numbers?
I don't have the actual tonnages with me.
Okay.
Or at this point, it's chill water system?
Not at the manholes,
No, manhole was rooftop.
but 20 tons. They're
20 tons?
RTUs.
Combination of RTUs and the air handlers on the chiller lines.
Oh, the air handlers on the chiller lines, yeah.
And remember, we redid the big system
The big system.
last.
Yeah, we did the whole
just gotta get the
system at
manhole
Lopez.
So we'll be going with, if we got RTUs, we'll be going with new pans,
Yeah.
things like that.
Definitely. Everything's new.
Okay,
That's
good.
old.
And of course, high efficiency units and so on and so forth. Okay, well, whenever we see it, of course, we'll be looking at the cost per ton,
Yes.
dollar cost per ton, and we are gonna run this by our energy consultant, I'm sure.
Matter of fact, Miles been working with them already.
We
Great,
already done
great.
that, Mr. Munoz.
Good. Right here, thank you.
Question. Page 619. Item number 1. The commission structure is 6%, and how do they arrive? Anticipated cost of construction is $186,000.
That-
Who arrives at that, Dr.
Mr. Tapia?
Mr. Tapia is the one that does that.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, Dr. Zolkowski, Board President Lehman, and members of the board. I've met with the engineer, and we recently did the chiller renovations and water tower there at Lopez. And in talking to the contractor that's on site, we got a general idea of what they would charge if we were to redo the Lopez Band Hall. So we got an idea through there, and also what it would cost through the buy board. So it was anywhere between 160 and 200,000. So we did an average at about 186,000, also based on the size of the tonnage and averaging the cost per ton.
Question?
Well, just the design work, when it says 25, 40%, 5%, and 30%, is that based on the fee? Is that what the apportioned?
That's correct. The 11,160 will be broken up in those percentages.
All right. Mr. Munoz?
Predicated upon some previous work that we did on one of the other schools, and the numbers were very high in my estimation, at $2,100 a ton. This would equate to 88.57 tons. Certainly nowhere near 20 tons, I would hope. Someone mentioned 20 tons a little while ago. That'd be $8,000 a ton or something.
That's why I asked the engineer to be here. He's here.
We can't pay $8,000 a ton for 20 tons of air conditioning.
We're not only replacing just the air handling units, we're replacing all the VV boxes in the space, all new direct digital controls, whole system. So it's
Whole system.
yes, the ductwork. So all the ductwork is modified. You right now have what's called fan-powered VAV boxes. We're going to go with the standard VAV box, change the air distribution system within each of the spaces, and it's going to require about that. Now, we've already done a schematic design on the project, and so we had the project bid at schematic design, and so we know pretty much how much it's going to cost.
And the tonnage is?
The tonnages, I'm sorry, I don't have that information with me. I'll be happy to provide it to you.
I can't imagine just 20 tons, but when we say $2,100 a ton, we're including everything you've mentioned.
I think they're including electronic controls, everything in that. I think if you separated it out, it probably wouldn't be.
I'd be hoping to see 90 or more tons for that kind of money.
Yeah, it's about 60 tons.
60 tons, that's kind of high.
Closer.
Kind of high. We'll have to look at it when we get some bids. High.
We'll get the consultant to look at it.
He did.
Okay, additional comments on item 41? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 41. All those in favor signify by raising hand, saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries. Move on to 7 announcements. Item 42. Next scheduled board meeting of the Board of Trustees is on Tuesday, June 13th, 2006, at the Administration Building at 5:30. Item 43, Budget Committee meeting will be held on Thursday, June 15th, 2006, at the Administration Building at 5:30. Any additional comments, Doctor?
Just want to remind you also on the 14th, we have BLA graduation. We're excited at Pace. We have over 40 graduates who dropped out who are completing their degrees, so we're excited.
And Sunday we have baccalaureate,
Sunday's baccalaureate
7 o'clock at...
at Rivera.
All righty. Is there a motion to adjourn, item 8?
To adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Motion carries.